All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, guys, we are going to be checking out a little bit of black yellow Luffy action. That's right, ST13 Luffy. For anyone who might be new to the channel, this was a leader I spent a lot of time playing and getting good at when it first came out. And then once it started doing really well, that's usually my cue to leave. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just a personality type for me. I don't really like playing what everyone's playing. Thus, Black Yellow Linlin was a big, that was something I spent a lot of time on. Red Yellow Sabo. Well, when this leader was first released, Black Yellow Luffy, when it was first released, it looks like, okay, this deck's going to be a little bit weird, going to be kind of hard to build. But then the East figured it out. They cracked the code very early with Gecko Moria. And then I just thought, okay, well, I'd rather move on to something that's not, overly represented in the format. Now, that's not to say there's anything wrong with playing this leader, guys. If you like this leader, you should play it. I was just saying, for me personally, I like to play the more janky stuff, the more off-meta stuff. And I feel like that's more geared towards my channel, right? Excuse me. I think we're more about, like at this channel, I think we're more built around, let's unlock a leader that no one plays, right? Let's try to make a leader work that people say can't work or shouldn't work or something. It's just like a challenge thing. I can't really explain it. Hopefully you guys understand what I mean. Now, anyway, let's go ahead and dive into this video. One more thing before we dive into it, actually. This leader, I have done a comprehensive guide on. I can't remember if I mentioned this or not in the intro here, but I will link that in the comment section below of when I was going really hard with this leader. I thought this was going to be my main leader for a while, guys, and I put a lot of time and effort into learning this leader and mastering it to the best of my ability, and I put out a comprehensive deck guide on it for those who are interested. I will link that in the comment section below. Now, let's go ahead and dive into this video. Let me give you guys a quick layout. First things first, we're going to head over to the lab. We've got a game of Foxy versus Black Yellow Luffy. That should be very interesting. I'm not going to give any spoilers. But think about what Foxy's leader effect does, guys, and then think about how important it is to swing as Black Yellow Luffy. So that should be a lot of fun to check out. We'll check out that first over on the lab. Then we're going to head over to OnePieceTopDecks.com, and we're going to try to get an idea of how ST13 Luffy is doing right now, right? Because today's video, let me give you guys, I should have mentioned this more in the intro. Today's video, we're not doing like a super deep dive into Black Yellow Luffy. I will link a guide on that if you're interested. It's a little bit outdated, but it'll at least give you a good idea, a good starting point. Today, we're just kind of checking out how is Black Yellow Luffy doing in the West and the East in OP08 and OP09. That's more the direction of today's video. So after we check that out, after we do like a quick little meta watch, we will hop over to the sim. I've got 3 games lined up for us on the sim. And then we will finish off by checking out the deck list. And I'll give you guys my final thoughts on it and all that good stuff from there. Okay, guys? You know what you're getting into. I will have everything time-stamped in the general description. And I will have all relevant deck lists and links down in the comment section below. All right, guys? Okay, let's dive into this video. Okay, first things first. You know what we got to get into. We got to head over to the lab. So for those who might be new to the channel, what is the lab? In the very beginning of each of my videos, I try to include this portion known as the VV Lab, where I break down community submitted games. Okay, these are games submitted to me by random people in the community. And notice how you can't see their names or anything. I block it all out, so there's absolutely no way to know who's playing. If you're interested in me reviewing your game, it's completely free of charge, guys. It's very easy to do. First things first, you have to record the game you want me to review, so record it, upload it to YouTube, and then hop on the VV Theory Discord, and then you can just post the link in there under the Review My Games channel. And as soon as I see it, I give you a thumbs up, and I throw it in line, and we go from there, okay? Very simple, very easy to do. And if you have any questions on that, please do not hesitate to ask down in the comment section below. All right, now, let's go ahead and dive into this, guys. So, let me make sure the volume is off, the speed is on 2x, the quality is as high as it will go for this person's recording, and here we go. So, we got Purple Foxy here versus Black Yellow Luffy. Now, the Foxy won the dice roll, and let's see what they choose to do. They chose to go second. They mulligan their first hand. Oh, Kaido's in there. Very nice. Okay, so they've chosen to go second. And it looks like they've got a decent pull, actually. That Chopper's a nice blocker. But it's not great early on because you don't get to ramp the Dawn, but they're still going to use it because it is still a blocker. Okay, and they do have a Reiju in hand now. They've got, I can't remember this guy's name over here. It's like Imamizu or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And then, I can't remember the 3-cost guy as well. It looks like Kapata. We'll see in just a second here. Okay, so it looks like the Luffy just loads up. Okay, pause. So obviously we can't see the black-yellow Luffy player's hand, and I'm very curious as to what they have in their hand. They must have either a bunch of 5-cost characters, 2-cost characters, or the 8-cost, whatever his name is, Gecko Moria. Because generally speaking, on turn 1, Luffy will either play out Garp or the 1-cost event, and they didn't have either of those plays. And if you don't have that play, then I suggest you play a Flampe, no matter who you're playing against, because it's extremely important to fix your hand. As Black Yellow Luffy, it is the most important thing to do, is to fix your hand. So swinging for 8 on turn 1 without having a play must mean they have a very, very bad hand. Okay, hang on one second, guys. I just noticed my camera's all messed up. Y'all give me just a moment here. There we go. That's a little better. All right, so let's see what happens here. So we're going to swing in, going to play out the Ito Mimizu, and it looks like they're eyeing, they were mousing over the Foxy and the Kaido in hand there. Because, yeah, once we start getting down the Foxies, you know, it becomes very hard for your opponent when you're locking down their leader at the same time. Okay, so right here, it looks like we're going to play out a 7-cost Foxy, ramp it on, play out the Foxy, absolutely. Not swinging, very smart. So for any new players out there, why didn't Foxy swing? What's going on here? Isn't that a bad play? No, not at all. Not swinging with your leader is actually very important, or, well, not swinging into the opponent's leader is what I should say. It's very important to not swing, because the lower Black-Yellow Luffy's life goes, the easier it is for them to turn on their leader effect. So you have to be very careful choosing to attack. Attacking them down to 2 life is not the craziest thing in the world, but getting them down to the 1 life range is absolutely dangerous, okay? Okay, so here we go. Let's see what the Black-Yellow Luffy player decides to do. They are on their 7 Dawn turn. Now, how were we on the 7 Dawn turn as Foxy? We are able to ramp with that card Ito Mimizu on the board, and Foxy as well. Okay, they play out their Sabo. They're going to fix their hand. They trashed 2 Kuzans. They trashed 2 of the 4-cost Kuzan. So their hand must have been very bricked early on with none of the early searcher stuff, because we saw one in the trash from the Luffy's effect, trashing the top card to draw a card, I believe. Okay, so it looks like we're thinking about playing out the Foxy or maybe the Eustace Kid. I think both are pretty good options here. I like the Foxy better, personally. And I'm not saying this is a bad play, by the way. Do not misunderstand that. This is a very good play as well, playing out the Porsche. Hang on a second. What are we going to do here? We're just doing a search. Are we going to play a card out? I don't think we should. I don't think we should replace a card. Okay, good. And we didn't. We did not. Now, next turn, it might be time to start swinging soon, and I would replace the Ito Mimizu with a new Foxy, because that 7,000 power body is very, very relevant in this matchup. Okay, so the Luffy's decided it's time to, you know, they, excuse me, their hand is massive. Okay, I think they have like 10, 11, maybe 12 cards in hand. They have decided it is time to start setting up for their combos, for their 2-cost character combos. Cheating out the Sabo. Draw 2, trash 2. They're going to trash those. Cheating out the other one. Draw 2, trash 2. So at this point in the game, their hand... Okay, let me see. They're going to go down to 6 cards, right? Let me see something. I'm just waiting for the opponent to draw 2, trash 2 right here. They trash that. They trash the Ice Age, and they... trashing Ice Age was a little strange, because getting rid of Foxy is very important. The 7 cost. Okay, so they're down to 6 cards. I don't know what all they trashed. Oh, 3 Brothers Bond and an Ice Age, excuse me. Hang on, pause. They're swinging with a blocker. I do agree with that. Swinging with a blocker is fine here because they have 2 other blockers. Swinging 6 into 6 is very annoying, and then it's going to be a 9K attack with the leader. But here's the thing. I would block out of one of these attacks, actually, because we're going to try and fill up the board next turn with a new character, but we can always just replace the Ito Mimizu if we have to. Now, anyway, real quick before we move on, back to what we were saying about Black Yellow Luffy. His hand, right now, after doing that many, he just did 6 draw 2, trash 2s altogether, right? Or he went through 6 cards with 3 draw 2, trash 2s with 3 Sabos. He should have at least 1 Gecko Moria, at least 2 2K counters, and then 3 other random cards, depending on how good his searches were, potentially other Gecko Morias, and potentially other 5-cost characters. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so they swing for 6. I would just counter out of this or use the blocker. I think using the blocker is good. Oh, they had a 9K attack, or excuse me, an 8K attack coming as well. This is where I would use the blocker chopper, and I would take the 9K hit from the leader, and then I would lock down those 2 cards with my leader effect on the next turn. They're going to take this one and maybe block. Okay, block the 11. Either one was fine. Just take one, block the other. That's fine. Excellent. Okay, and now playing out the Eustace Kid ends up being pretty nice here because now we have an 8,000 power body to attack with. I would attack into the what's his name there. Okay, so pause. I think that's fine. By the way, there's nothing wrong with that. But I was saying, just to finish my thought, I would have swung for 8 into 6 with the Eustace Kid into the what's his name, Sabo. But I guess, okay, it's good to swing with the other guy first, so that way you can Dawn -1 to get the Eustace Kid's effect. So I think instead what I would have done is I would have swung for 8 with the Foxy into the 6 cost, or the 5 cost 6k Sabo. Just get it off the board. Just get it off the board. Because for those who might be thinking like, well, no, it's not good to get that off the board, so that way the Gecko Moria can't pull it back. It's like, well, no, actually Gecko Moria will always be able to pull it back when your board is this full, because they can play out, it's, you know, Gecko Moria goes on the board, and then it brings back 2 other characters. So it can remove up to, you know, it will remove to where there's like 3 bodies off the board if it has to. You know what I mean? So, okay. So 10 into 8 is still fine. I would not save this. If the Black Yellow Luffy player saves this, it's a mistake. I'm just going to say it. Blocking is probably not the worst thing. I meant countering out to save it. That's what I was trying to say, like countering to save it. But that might have been a mistake as well. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Okay, so they block with the Sabo. Now we can use the Eustace Kid here. Absolutely. And I would go 6 into that. I would go 8 into the sideways. I'm going to go 9. Okay, so 9 into 8. Now, I would 2K counter out of this if I was the Black Yellow Luffy in this situation. But I wouldn't have saved it to begin with. Okay, so here we go. So it ended up being the same result, right? Just like let that one go, and then they swing 9 into life. You can just counter out that way if you need to. Doing the leader effect here, locking everything down. See, and that's why. Okay, pause 1 second. So this is why I would not have even swung into the 8,000 power character on the board. I wouldn't have even done it, because what I would have done, I would have definitely gone 8. So hear me out. This is the play that I would have suggested. And let me bring up the chess meter. This is not necessarily like a misplay or something like that from the Foxy player. This was still a good play that's working out just fine for our game plan to win the game here. But let me just go ahead and say what I think would have been a slightly more optimal play. Okay, so right here, let me go back one more to before the attack with the Foxy. Right here. So we attached. Oh, sorry, I thought I paused it. So we swing for 10 into 8, but that's the character we want to keep locked down. You see what I'm saying? That's the character I would have wanted to keep locked down. So here's what I would have done here. With 1 Dawn, attach 1 Dawn to the Foxy, and then swing 8 into the Sabo. We already know they would give that up. They didn't want to spend a 2K, 1K to defend the other guy. They used a Sabo to block it. So they would let us just have that card, right? The card's gone. Then what I would do with that 1 Dawn, I would attach. Well, first I would attach 1 Dawn to Eustace Kid. Actually, we're gonna need 3 Dawn, right, for the Foxy's effect, or it's 3 or 4 Dawn? I can't remember. Whatever the case is, I would attach whatever Dawn is left to my Eustace Kid, so that I could use the leader effect to smash into the leader's face and buffing my Eustace Kid. You see what I'm saying? Buffing my leader by doing the Dawn -1. Then everything else I would smash into the leader, returning the Dawn back as necessary, keeping the 2 cards tapped that I was saying, keeping the 5 cost 6K tapped and the leader tapped. Because for those who might be thinking like, yeah, but you shouldn't leave that Luffy on the board because he can use that effect to draw a card potentially. It's like, well, no, he really can't, right? Because if he does that when he has no life, it's too much to deal with. Now if he does that, excuse me, 2 things. If he does it with no life, then he gets +8. He gets +2,000. Well, we're going to keep him locked down for the rest of the game. It doesn't matter, right? However, you know, if he does that when he has a card in his life, well, now he's not going to get to go up to 9,000 power in his leader. So now he's just, you know, dead in the water, right? That's what I'm trying to imply. I know that was a little clumsy, guys. If you guys have any comments or questions on that, please ask in the comment section below. But long story short, I would have attached 1 Dawn here. Let me see. I want to see the leader. Is it Dawn -3 or Dawn -4? I can't remember. I think it's Dawn -3. It's been a while since I played Foxy, guys. It's been a minute. Okay, and because I would have also liked to have attached, or excuse me, so that's why. I'm sorry. It does have to be said, guys. It does have to be said. That is why I would have tried to. So I've got a whole another play now, guys. I'm sorry. I've got a whole new play because I want to develop the 7 cost Foxy. So I would have, once I swung 8 into that Sabo, he's going to let it go, right? I would then swing 9 with my Eustace Kid into my opponent's face because he's at 9k, so he has to give his cards from hand. And then I would Dawn -1 from the 1 Dawn that I put on the Foxy to go plus 1,000 on my leader for the turn. Then I would play out my my other Foxy, you know, do all the stuff I need to do there to gain the Dawn back. And then I would actually attach the remaining Dawn, which would have been 1 remaining Dawn. So it would have been an 8k attack, because remember, he'd have been a 6, 7... Well, no, it might have been a 7k attack into the Sabo. And then I would have a double Foxy down, return all the Dawn I need to lock down the leader and the 5-cost Luffy, and gone from there. Sorry, guys. I know that was very confusing, but this is a very technical leader to play, actually. Especially once I see what Foxy does. I want to see if he's a Dawn -3 or a Dawn -4. Okay, so we did that. They let it go. We remember that. We've already seen that already. And now we're going to attach this to Foxy. Whoops, there was too. Hang on. Let me go back real quick to Foxy. So I went forwards. Right here. It is Dawn -3. If you have 3 or more Foxy Pirate characters in play, choose up to 1 each of your opponent's rested leaders and characters. The cards you choose do not become active during their owner's next refresh phase. So that's what I would have done this turn with it was a 10 Dawn turn, remember, because we actually Dawn -1 with the effect from the Eustace Kid here. I would have done 1 Dawn on Foxy to go 8 into 6 into the blocker. And then I would have done, you know, the rest in the face with Eustace, basically. Because then we wouldn't have another thing to attack with the leader, but we don't need it. But instead, we're going to play out the Sanji. We're going to ramp the Dawn back with Ito Mimizu and the Foxy. His leader can't attack this turn, and now so this is the nightmare matchup for Luffy, probably. Like, this is probably one of his nightmare matchups. Because now for the rest of the game, he's not getting his leader attack back. His leader attack's gone for the rest of the game. So if I were the Black Yellow Luffy player in this situation here, it is time to play out a Gecko Moria. I don't know what he's even thinking about. Yep, used attached to. Wait a minute, what's going on? Is there no Gecko Moria in hand? -5 to the to that guy. Does this guy really not have? Okay, I'm starting to think he really does not have a Gecko Moria in his hand. Is that the case? You never know, guys. I have bricked pretty hard with Black Yellow Luffy before, but that is wild if he does not have Gecko Moria in his hand after everything he's done. Unless he wanted to sit at 7,000 power with 1 life and 2 blockers. I could not imagine that's what that would have been the case. Yeah, I'm swinging 7 4 times right now if I'm Foxy. Like, that's just first things first. Swing 7 4 times. Because if you swing 7 4 times, it's probably going to be a blocker, a life, and 2 cards from hand. And then from there, you still have your entire turn left, right? Because that would have cost us 2, 4, 5. That would have cost us 5 Dawn. And instead, you know, it all depends on what they would have done. But you don't even have to swing with your Sanji if you don't want to. Yeah, 7. So it looks like that's what they're going to do. And I feel like that is absolutely the right play here. Yeah, so don't even swing with the Sanji. Never mind. Yeah, just don't even swing with Sanji. Okay. So right here, okay, I feel like they're in a little bit of a pickle now. I'm not sure what they want to do. Yeah, it looks like we're thinking a lot. So, okay, you can't do everything, right? You can't do hang on. So swing 9. So this will force a blocker. Yep. So I think what they were trying to do is do everything where they also get back, also have enough to play the Foxy. Maybe I'm confused, but that's okay. So we're gonna swing it for 8 here. Do the Dawn -3, locking down the leader. Now their leader will not untap. Again, they're not getting their leader for the rest of the game. And now they can... Oh, they're going to swing again? Interesting. Okay, they're going to swing again for 8 here. So that will probably get another 2k counter. Or just let the life go. Interesting. So I would have probably just played out the other Sanji again. Because I think we did Dawn -3 for the leader effect. We could have just played out another blocker there. I think that would have been fine. Okay, so let's see what they do. Are they finally going to play a Gecko Moria? There's no way. Guys, that is crazy to me. Unless I missed something, the fact that the Black Yellow Luffy player, okay, and then they give up. Yeah, I agree. I would be like, where are my where are my Gecko Morias? Because that's what makes this deck really run. That's what allows this deck to combo off. And in that situation, what you could do is start developing these bigger bodies in the meantime, you know, to have some kind of chance in this game from having your leader locked out for the rest of the game. But either way, really good game there. There was only one major thing I would have done differently, and I think it was on this turn right here. Yeah, let that go through. We did that. Okay, it was on this turn. So it was a 10 Dawn turn. So I would have attached 1 Dawn to Foxy, swung 8 into the Sabo. He was going to let it go. It didn't even matter. And then I would attach 2 Dawn to the Eustace Kid, and I would have swung for whatever that is, 10 at face, Dawn -1 on the card that was on Foxy, the Dawn that was on the Foxy, to go plus 1,000 on my leader. And then I would pay 7 to put down the other Foxy, and I would swing for 5 into face, even though it does nothing. I would swing 5 into face, locking down the 5-cost Luffy and the leader. And that's how I'd have gone about this game from there. But other than that, and the reason that would have been very important is because now you have a 7K, an 8K, and the 7K that we were just talking about. So even if they remove another character, it's not as relevant on that follow-up turn when they did this right here. Because remember, they did an Ice Age play right here that I thought was kind of crazy because they didn't have Gecko Moria. So playing out the Sanji was not bad though. Playing out Sanji was fine. So right here, they play out the Ice Age. They end up popping our guy with the 5-cost Luffy, and it was still fine from here because we got the Sanji down. But now on this turn, we would have had a 7-cost 7K and another 7-cost 7K because they got rid of the Eustace Kid, and we could have gone about things from here. And in fact, at this point, there might have been a reason to just. He stayed at 7K. That's the crazy part, right? So there might have been a reason from here to just go all in and get every card from his hand, something like that. Either way, worked out fine. Really good game there. That was a fun one. Really good submission there. Okay, now y'all give me a second to get set up. We got to check out OnePieceTopDecks.com. All right, so here we go, guys. So this first one we're going to look at here, this is the first place list that just came out recently. This it says from Great Britain, and this was on 10/20/24, and I'm recording this on the 21st. This was a 1,000 player tournament. Black Yellow Luffy got first place. Not surprising. This is a very, very strong leader, guys. Not surprising. Pause and read this if you don't know what the leader does. And like I said in the intro, I will have a link to my deep dive comprehensive guide on Black Yellow Luffy from a while back. Yes, it is a little dated, like I said. However, it's not totally outdated, and the leader still plays the same. You just have to cater a few things to different matchups. Now, one thing you'll notice in this list, there are a few things people are running now. Notice it's a bunch of 2-ofs. This guy's running 2 of this Sabo, which is a card not many people were running. 2 Kuzans, a lot of people are starting to switch over to this. 2 Ice Ages, a lot of people are swapping over to this. And then 2 Finger Guns. I actually really liked the Thunderbolt in the place of the Finger Gun, but this does fill up your trash, which is not the worst thing in the world when you're running a deck with Gecko Moria in it. It also has this really strong trigger to just pop a 5 or less right out of the trigger spot, right out of your life. Everything else is the exact same. Nothing has changed since the past, except, of course, when I first started playing it, this card wasn't out yet, and this became the go-to card for Black Yellow Luffy. This was an auto-include because it allows you to draw a card, pop characters, and all that good stuff. Okay, three brothers bonds. 4 of the Garps. They have 7 searchers for all these little guys. And then the 2K counter package has always been really strong in here. It runs 11. It's running 3 Makino, 4 Hiyori, and 4 Flampe. And again, not much has changed, really. The big change that happened with most Black Yellow Luffy decks since I stopped playing it is people got rid of the 5-cost Ace because it ended up being, I guess, too much of a... I don't really know how to say it. I guess it became too gimmicky for people. I still really like that card. Now, one thing I believe I put this this list right here. Excuse me. See, this list right here came out May 28th, 2024, so quite some time ago now at the time of recording this. And this was a list that I featured in that comprehensive deck guide that I put out. This guy running this list right here, we'll look at in just a second. He went 14-1. He won 2 flagships and only lost on the final game of the 3rd flagship. He almost had a full hat trick. And the deck he lost to is a deck that's now banned, Red Purple Law. So clearly this is a very solid list, and I'm going to click on it now just so you guys can see it. And this is a list that I was saying that people should be trying, because I just think it's really good. And notice it's running the 8 2-of package for this one. He's still running the 2 Aces, the 2 Emporio Ivankovs, the 2 Kuzans, and the 2 Thunderbolts. There's like this little 8-card window you can mess around with, but that's about it, to be honest, guys. Everything else is pretty much locked. The Makinos you need, and look, he went down to 2 Makinos, but he's got 4 Hiyoris and 4 Flampes, and that allowed him to run all 4 of his 3 brothers bond. Remember the deck we just looked at? It was only running 3. But that's also a preference thing. It's not like that's a bad thing. Excuse me, guys. I can't even talk. That's not exactly a bad thing. But yeah, I personally, I'll show you the guys the list that I'm running, it's just a very simple list. It's very simplistic, and it doesn't have any tech in it. But if you're going to a big tournament, you do have to make tech decisions based on what you plan to go against. So that is something to take into consideration. And going back to the list we were just looking at, this one right here, notice this, guys. He's running 4 of the Monkey D. Luffy, and the other list was running only 3. And then this guy's running the Thunderbolts, of course, whereas this list was running the Shigan Finger Pistols. And then one more big decision is instead of running Ace, this guy's running Sabo. Why do you think that is? Well, this guy probably expected to play against more Blue Doflamingo, maybe, Lucci, and so on. So it's a tech decision he had to make. And this is still a very good card. It's not like this is a bad card. And remember, guys, if he has to, he can pop a 10 with it. He can pop a 10-cost character with it. And Finger Gun, of course, is solid. You know, a lot of good stuff going on here. And if this card ever sticks, it's going to be a nightmare for your opponent. Because now you're popping 8-cost characters with this guy, you're popping 9-cost characters with this guy, and then you're popping, you know, 9-cost characters with Finger Gun as well, just built in, just without any extra help. Okay, now we're going to look. That was OP08. This was OP08. Even the deck we looked at right here. Whoops, this one right here. This was from OP08 in the West, or excuse me, in the East. It might have been OP08.5. But the point is, or actually, let me see something. This article will explain his position in the 07 meta. Excuse me. So this was 07. And then what we just looked at right here, this was OP08 in the West. So that was very confusing, I know. But this list that just happened that we were looking at with the 5-call Sabos to pop, this is an OP08. Now, OP09, Luffy's still doing very well. Let me show you guys real quick. Let me go to ST13 Luffy. And look at this, guys. Out of 200 entries, 12 are Black Yellow Luffy. And check this out. We're gonna look at this one because I think this is the best representation. Actually, we'll look at 2 of these. This is an 8-0 representation of the deck here, and this is a second place list at a 350 player tournament one here. We'll look at the first place one, even though it's a 3v3. We'll look at that first. Okay, this list right here went 8-0, and notice this. Now notice this. This is running the Sabos. How interesting is that? This looks exactly like the deck we just looked at, doesn't it? Hang on a second. Yeah, it's running the... Well, no, it's not running the Shigan finger guns. The Shigan Finger Pistol's not in here, but instead they're running 4 Kuzan. 2 Ice Ages, 4 Kuzans, 4 of this Luffy, which pops stuff as well, and the 2 Sabos. That's very interesting to see that. And this list went 8-0 in OP09. Guys, not OP08. This is an Eastern list. This is from Japan. Okay, and look what it's running. Just incredible. This list is still very strong even now. This list has really kind of been done with a few tweaks here and there. It's been done since OP07, and it's still doing strong in OP09. Okay, now let's also check out one more list and see if it's any different. This second place list here at a 350 player tournament. Wow, Rygo. Check that out. Everything else is pretty much the same. Let me see. There's one extra card. Going back to the aces, I like that. I do like the ace quite a bit. Excuse me. And you're going to see ace in the gameplay I have ready for y'all today. Running 1 Emporio Ivankov, 2 Rygos, 2 Brothers Bond, 2 of the 3 Brothers Bond, 2 of the 3 Brothers Bond, 2 of the Kuzan, and that's pretty much it, guys. 3 Makinos. So the 4th Makino is pretty much a blocker Ivankov. And yeah, this one's not running the 5-cost pop Sabo. It's just running the blocker one. And it's running 2 Rygos, which, excuse me. I actually like this card quite a bit because it is 6 cost. So if you need to, if your opponent dropped a character you just need to deal with immediately, well, guess what? This card does that. And if they tried to starve you the entire game, bad news for them. You can just pay 6 and get rid of all of your life cards down to 1 and go about things that way if you need to. But yeah, very solid looking list. Now, let's go ahead and hop over to the sim, and I'll show you guys the games we got prepared for today. Let me go full screen, move my face over here. Okay, the volume is off, and the speed is on 2x, and here we go, guys. Let me make sure, yeah. Okay, so this first game, I have 2 games versus Lucci and a random game, I think, versus Vega or something like that. Let me see, I hate to spoil it like that, but yeah. And, I have to say, this is a good matchup to know you can beat. And guys, Black Yellow Luffy is very favored into Lucci. It's very favored. Now, this first game here, I do play out the Garp. As you can see, it gets KO'd immediately. That's fine. We got the value out of it, and we've gotten some cards out of our opponent's hand. So now let's see, I'm going to be on a 5 Dawn turn, and now I'm going to start being able to cycle cards with either with my Sabo, or I could develop my 5-cost Luffy and draw cards from that. I choose to do that, and basically I'm telling him, I'm forcing him to remove my character. That card cannot stay on the board, guys. For those who might be wondering, like, oh, well, you know, maybe he'll just ignore it. I mean, he can, but that card cannot stay on the board. It's just a bad idea. Plays out the Sabo. I get to keep the character. Seems good. They attacked in, and so we did get to draw a card, or we did get to take a life last turn. Now I've got a lot of options. I have to see what I want to do here. Okay, well, unfortunately, we can't get the Sabo. We have to get one of those 2-cost Luffys, so we can get value from that later. So I'm trying to do a little bit of math here. So I'm going to swing in for 6. And I don't think I'm going to use out the... let's see. I do. Excuse me. I was going to say, I don't know if I can. It's a little dangerous, but I'm about to play out a Sabo. They can't KO him unless they play Brook, and then I can easily get out of that attack. So, okay. I'm down to 1 life. I have 3 characters on the board. They cannot be KO'd by effects. And one of them is an 8,000 power body. My opponent is in a very, very ugly situation here. They're in a very, very bad position. They really needed to get rid of that card. 6 into 8. Okay, I will take that. Maybe he just wanted to use the leader effect, which makes sense. Oh, and then he had a Brook to follow up. So he was able to get rid of it at least, but at what cost? Right? Like I got to draw 2 cards from that card, and I got to eat an attack with it. Okay, so we play out the Hiyori here. We're going to set Sabo to the top. We're going to use the little 2-cost Sabo, playing out the 5 costs from life. Now we're going to draw. We had to draw 2 trash 2 there. I'm going to attach 2 to my leader. I'm going to fill up my life. Just doing that right now. I really need a Luffy on top because I have a 2-cost Luffy in hand. Okay, and we're going to do that. We'll play out this Luffy. And I'm going to use the effect immediately. Not because, actually, let me see. I think maybe it might be the next game I use it on. I was going to say, I know I use it like immediately in one game. So right here, I'm basically telling him, like, hey, I'm giving you the chance to get rid of my Luffy if you want to, as opposed to, like, swinging all out of my face this turn. So he plays out a Gecko Moria. Not exactly too scared about that. Hey, this is one of those, one of the few decks out there that's like, oh, Gecko Moria. You know, whatever. not really a big deal, right? Not a bad card, but it's like not really a big deal for what I'm trying to do. Okay, so right here, and I'll show you guys the deck list I'm running after this video. So I swing in for 6. We're going to pop this, get rid of the Khalifa, draw a card. Okay, that actually makes things very interesting with the 10-cost Kuzan, but I really need to make sure I gain life here. That Kuzan's probably not going to happen this game. We'll attach first we'll play out the Luffy here. We'll attach to the leader. We'll trash the Kuzan. We'll put 2 cards on top of my life. One's going to be a Luffy, and then the second one will be a Sabo. Make sure you're doing that correctly, guys, if you're playing on the sim. The first card you pick when you're doing that interaction with your leader to put 2 cards on top of your life, the first one you pick will be your bottom life card. Make sure you do that correctly, guys. Don't want to figure that one out the hard way. So we'll swing in for 11. They give us a blocker. We have 2 blockers, 1 life, 9,000 power, and a full board that cannot be KO'd. If he wants to play a Brook this turn, be my guest, right? Be my guest. Because that will be his entire turn. And by the way, we have 2 other geckos in our hand. So we're pretty much we're kind of in autopilot at this point with Black Yellow Luffy. There comes a point where they just can't attack into us. You know, normally that's what allows Lucci to get back in this game, is like he's bringing back all these bodies, and even if we deal with him, he gets to attack in with a free Gecko Moria every turn. Well, okay, swinging in for 9. I can give him a free blocker here that's coming back next turn. So I got full value from that card. Okay, so let's see what happens here. This was an interesting situation. So pause, what would you do in this situation? Don't say go for lethal. Please don't say go for lethal. I mean, you could technically try to go for lethal here. I guess you could go like swing 9 3 times and see what he's got. And then actually it would be swing 9 4 times. So 3 cards out of hand to counter out of 1. He would have to have exactly perfect cards, you know, from his life to get out of it. But that's not the safe play. Okay, that's not the safe play. What would you do in the situation? And I think I really want to use my Luffy to attack with first. However, here's the problem. I want to stay at 1 life. So in other words, I'm going to have to swing for 6 naked with my Luffy, like just a flat 6K naked attack, like nothing attached, which feels horrible because that card should be able to swing for 8. However, it only makes sense so that I can do things in the right order, or I could choose to swing after. Well, no, I can't even choose to swing afterwards. That's the problem because I don't want to get rid of my Gecko Moria. I don't want to get rid of Sabo because I'm already going to bring a Sabo back, and I can only get back 2 per turn typically, right? Unless I use cards from hand. So I'm going to have to, you'll see, hopefully this will make sense, guys. So watch what happens here. I'm like, oh man, this sucks, right? Okay, so we're going to swing for 6. Whoops, I almost hit attach all active Dawn. That would have been bad. So we'll swing for 9 first and see what he gives us, see if he gives us the blocker or not. Okay, takes it. We're going to swing there. And I think at this point, I decide, like, you know what, I think I'm just going to get rid of the Gecko Moria. Or, honestly, I don't know. I think I should get rid of the Luffy. Because I have to play out a Gecko Moria getting two bodies back. So 2 of my bodies will disappear from the board that are here currently. So we're going to swing for 6, like I said. This was an unfortunate decision. Now we're going to play out the Gecko. We're going to bring out a Sabo and a Luffy. I'm making sure I have the cards in my trash that I need. We're going to grab a Sabo, and we have to bring back a Luffy to get rid of the Luffy in my life currently. So we'll do that. We'll pull him back. Now we will attach 2. We'll trash the Sabo. We'll put in a Luffy in the trash, we'll put a Luffy in life, and then Sabo, pulling the Sabo into play. We'll swing for 11. Let's see what he does here. And I don't think I have to attack with Luffy this turn. Or excuse me, I don't have to sacrifice my Luffy this turn to draw a card because I have 4 2K counters in hand, 1 life, and 2 blockers. So he swings in for 9. I think this should just be, yeah, maybe give him a blocker here. Because I have another Sabo in hand, or excuse me, another Gecko in hand, right? Okay. I definitely could have countered out aggressively. Excuse me. I could have countered out very aggressively there, but I don't know. I don't know if that would have been the right decision or not. I'd rather just do this the safe way where I have it figured out in my head. Because in my head, I've already won this game. Like, for those who might be wondering, like, in my head, at this point of the game, I feel like I've already won the game. So I'm like, 5 Dawn left. Okay, 2K counter. I'm not even going to give you a blocker now. Swing for 10. Swinging for 10 was crazy, and now we just give him a 2K and the game's over. So, why is the game over? Someone might be asking, what do you mean the game's over? Well, I have 2 9K attacks first, right? So 2 9K attacks, bare minimum, would be a 2, 4, 5. So it would take 3 cards per hand, 2 2K counters and a 1K counter to get out of my 2 Gecko Moria attacks with no Dawn attached. They only have 7 cards in hand. So 2 attacks, so their entire hand's gone from two attacks. And that's assuming they even had the counter power, and they didn't, okay? So their whole hand's gone with just 2 attacks. Then I still have 3 other attacks. They only have 1 blocker, and I have full Dawn. So it's one of those situations where I just knew it was over automatically, right? They just didn't have a chance from that point, unfortunately. Okay, let's do another game versus Lucci, and then we have one versus Vegapunk. And this is not the same player. This is just another random player on the sim. And I have to say, guys, this matchup, Black Yellow Luffy is very strong into Lucci. And this game's interesting, guys. Notice how long it takes me to get to my Gecko Morias and my my Sabos, my 5-call Sabos. This game was a nightmare. This game was an absolute nightmare. Okay, so we're going to start off. I think we went first. I don't know if I got to choose to go first or if they chose to go second or what. So we do a Makino. I'm looking for my Sabos. That's why I played out Makino and Flampe this early. I'm looking for my Sabos. It is the main engine by which this deck runs. I was at least able to cash in on that there to cheat out this ace, get some damage in. They swing 5 into it so they can use their leader effects and also trash it with the Brook. But I desperately need Sabo. That's what I need right now. Excuse me. Okay, so right here I'm going to cheat out a Luffy so that way I can start using my effects. We'll trash this card, or we'll play that card, excuse me. Then we'll do this. Popping the Kuzan, drawing a card, attach 2. I'll go up, I'll trash another Luffy from my hand to put these 2 cards back into my life. This is not looking good, right? So this is a really bad start to a game if you're for those who might be wondering. And if you think like, oh, we'll just play Gecko Moria in a few turns. I can't. There's no Sabo to get back. In fact, and I just took a hit there. Now there's no ace to get back. That goes to the bottom of my life, not to my trash. Not to the bottom of life, to the bottom of my deck, excuse me. So swing for 9 into 7 here. I have to give him a 2K, 1K, which is just, again, this is just feeling absolutely horrible at this point. Without Sabo, I can't win this game. Like, that's basically how I would see things if I were a Black Yellow Luffy player in this situation. So like, all right, here we go. We're going to see if we get it. I popped it just to draw a card. We get a Sabo. Now, all of a sudden, and I trashed those cards so I can bring him back with the Gecko next turn. All of a sudden, now that I have Sabo, I can win this game. Sabo is a blocker. He makes it where you cannot be KO'd, and he also allows you to cycle cards from your hand. He is the single most important piece to the puzzle if you're trying to play Black Yellow Luffy, because he will get you to your other pieces. If someone might be thinking, well, no, the 5 cost Luffy, like the one in my life right now, some people might be thinking like, oh no, that's the most important one. Yeah, it's very important, but I could just get to more of those with Sabo, right? Like, if you think Ace is the most important, if you think this card or that card is the most important, Sabo can get me to all of them. Sabo is the one card that can get me to everything I need. Now, watch this. I only have 1/2 called Sabo in my trash because I did not counter out properly last turn. I have one in my hand. I should have trashed the Sabo in my hand to try to get that going, but we didn't, so here we are. So we're going to draw 2 trash 2. We're filling out more cards in the trash. Now the game is starting to stabilize in my favor. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, the game is actually starting to go into my favor. So I'll put Sabo on the bottom. We'll grab a Luffy here, and we'll use the 2 cost. As I say, it'd be dangerous. Well, my character can't be KO'd, to be fair. So we'll swing in for 9. They 2K, 2K, 1K to get out of that. Seems good, using that. So that was... Hear me out. Some people might be thinking, well, why didn't you use the effect first to swing in for 11? I was hoping he would counter out of that one. So my hope in that situation was, okay, let's get him to counter out early or to use the blocker, and then we can go from there. He countered out early, getting rid of 2 2Ks and a 1K counter. I know in this guy's hand right now, he's probably got a 7-cost Jack. He probably has Gecko Moria. He probably has another Sabo. He probably has a Lucci. He probably has 1 or 2 more 2K counters. That's what's going through my head right now. Okay, so in that situation, absolutely swinging for 9. If he's going to counter out of that, perfect. And if he doesn't counter out of it, okay, then it didn't matter anyway, right? So that was kind of the logic there. Excuse me. Okay, so we're just waiting on our opponent here. They play out the Gecko. We knew they had it. They're going to Span... So they did a Rebecca plus Spandam. Rebecca brings back Spandine, bringing back another Spandam. I don't know what's... They're looking for 2K counters. So they are desperately searching for 2K counters. But in this situation here, I'm in a very good spot. So we'll swing for 9. They block out with the Rebecca. Seems good. And let's see what we're going to do here. I think what I need to do is, yeah, play that out, and we'll just grab back. So, slight play mistake, in my opinion. I'll talk about it in a second. Let me see what I'm doing real quick before I call it out for, like, a full-on play mistake. Okay, so we're going to grab this card. And, yeah, grab the Sabo, replacing the Gecko, and play out that card. Okay, interesting. So, real quick, what I think I should have done was the exact same thing as last time, where I just swing for 6 with my Luffy and then replace it and keep the Gecko on the board. But this move here does allow me to stay at 1 life, keep the Luffy on the board, and go about things that way. It's a tricky call. I know it seems weird, but guys, it ends up working out very well for me. So we'll do this time. Yep. I have to trash that, draw 2, trash 2. We'll get rid of a 2K and then a 1K because everything else is a 2K in my hand. I will use the Luffy's effect there while I have no cards in my life. I'll swing in for 8. They use a 2K to get out of it. Perfect. Now I know they don't have any more counter in hand, right? I can pretty much say for 100% confirmation they don't have any, whatchamacallit in hand. They have no 2K counters in hand. So right here, I do go up to 9K. We're going to put them down to 0 life this turn or take the blocker. We do that to draw a card. And now, so I had to play that out in that way. So that way I could draw a card and get out of more attacks, right? I have 2 blockers. I have 2 cards in hand. My leader's 9,000 power. And now my opponent's actually in a lot of trouble. So swing for 9. Well, that's game. So swinging for 9 was their only chance. They're probably going to give up right here. So let me explain what just happened there. So what happened? So when they swung for 9, they have to get through 3 attacks, right? Because I have 2 blockers and I have 2 cards in hand. I'm a 9,000 power leader. They're not surviving next turn. Look, I mean, they did have 2 2K counters left to their credit. That's crazy. This guy drew so many 2K counters. It's actually insane. Because I went through like 5 in 2 turns. But I guess he did take life kind of aggressively earlier on, I think. I can't remember now. But anyway, hear me out real quick. The reason that was game over and he gave up after 1 attack is he can only swing, let me see, 4, 3, 3. Well, no, he could have tried to go. He could have tried to go for it. And it would have been swing 9, swing 9, swing 9. Because it would have been 3 on Sabo, 3 on Brook, 4 on Rob Lucci. It didn't matter because I have blocker, 2K counter, right? So it was just pretty much game over, and that would have forced him to fully overextend, and then I win on the crackback. So that was a very that was a fun game, very technical, but it's one of those situations where once you find yourself in this situation, it just becomes a little too much too quickly. Not to say you can't win as Lucci. Lucci can absolutely win this matchup, but it's very tough. Okay, we got one more game. This one's of Vegapunk. Okay, volume's off. Speed is on 2x. Oh, Vegapunk. Every time I see this leader, I don't know how I feel about it. So they start off. Oh, one more thing I want to say. I'm sorry. One more thing about the last game. I know we've already started this one. By the way, guys, that game looked close, but remember, my pull was atrociously bad on that game versus Lucci, the second game versus Lucci. That was awful, and we still were able to bring it back if we play smart and if we finally can get lucky and get the card we need from that last draw card we needed to get past to get to the Sabo. Now, all right, we got this game versus Vegapunk. They're going to start off very defensively and put a card into life. I don't know if I agree with that, guys. I don't know if I would have put the Shaka into play. Like, I would have played the Shaka. That's just me personally. Play out the blocker and go about things that way, because I'm just going to attack into it. It ends up being like the same thing. But now they can't activate any of their 2 life effects, right? Things that require them to be at like 2 or less life. I'm not sure how many there are, but I think there are a few of them, aren't there? But here we go. I'm going to swing for 8. Like, you can draw 2 all you want to. It's fine with me. They're gonna take this. Nico Robin is gonna draw them 2 cards. Very nice. That's like their version of Sanchi's pull off. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. And now they have 4 Dawn for the turn. Let's see what they do. But notice my hand, guys. My hand, pretty disgusting. So that was my life. Whoops. Okay, so let me see what I did with my life, because it does come up this game. Okay, I kept Ace on top of my life, and then Kuzan, and then Flampe. So check this out, guys. This is a fun one here. All right, so that will come into play. Okay, that will come into play later in the game. We're going to play out the Sabo. We're going to draw 2, trash 2. Let's see what we do. I think I'm going to get rid of the... I think I should get rid of the Luffy here. So we get rid of Sabo and Ace. The 2 cards are probably the worst decisions, but who knows. You know, when you're playing these games, your mind is going like a million miles an hour, right? You're trying to figure out how to win this game. But I like looking back with a more... you know, with I guess... I don't know. Like, looking at it now, I'm like, I don't know if I'd have done that looking back. So they go ahead and play out the S-Snake, which can stop a 6-cost character or a 6 or less cost character from attacking for the turn other than Luffy. I don't have a Luffy, but it doesn't matter. I'm not swinging with my Sabo anyway. Well, I don't know. I might have swung with Sabo, especially after seeing S-Shark come down. I may have attacked with Sabo, but now I can't because of S-Snake. And here we go, guys. I think I'm about to play a Tempo Gecko Moria in Black Yellow Luffy. That's right. We'll get rid of this card and that card. I want Garp in my trash in case I need it back. Remember I had an ace on top of my life, guys? Perfect. So we're going to smash in there, excuse me, with the ace, and smash in here with the with our Luffy. And here we go. Let's see what our opponent does now. I've got a 9K on the board, and I'm a 7,000 power leader this turn, so they can't even really attack into me unless they want to invest some Dawn, which they might. They might. Who knows? And let's see if we can remember what our life was. It was Kuzan and Flampe, right? That's something you have to really get good at remembering when you're looking at your life cards. So this should be a Kuzan. It is very good. And then we have a Flampe as our last life. They gain a life. They're going to swing for 10 into 7. Perfect. We're going to use our blocker. That was absolutely perfect. It's too bad that we know what the top card of our life is, so we can't do any kind of special combo this turn. But hey, it's definitely not the end of the world. Okay, and I do have a Hiyori. If I need to, I can Hiyori here. Okay, we'll swing 7 into 6, see if they want to give us anything. They do not. Kind of surprising, actually. I feel like maybe they should have, but maybe not. So we'll swing in for 5. They get a Shaka. We're fine. We actually don't have a ton of 2Ks in hand, but they only have 1 attacker, and we have 1 life. We're fine. So they play out the Nami. They're going to trash a trigger card from hand, and they KO... Okay, so they KO the 2-cost Sabo. So let me explain something real quick. There's probably not a lot of logic to that, because Sabo, you know, I guess if I didn't have another Gecko, never mind. Okay, we'll give him credit there. Yeah, if I didn't have, I know I have another Gecko because I have 100% knowledge of my hand here. But if I didn't have another Gecko Moria, that would have probably been the right play. And then they can swing 10 into 7. They can have that. I should not save that. Okay. So here we go, guys. I think this is where the game takes a turn for the worst for my opponent. So we'll swing 9 into 6 here. Not a good place to be. We'll swing 10 into 6, or 10 into 5, excuse me, to the leader. Kuzan is massive, guys. This character is just absolutely massive. Okay, so let's see what they do here. They took that. Are they debating whether or not they want to play it or not? Because it was I think it was a Chaka, wasn't it? So did they choose not to play? Oh, no, excuse me. It was an S Snake. Okay, so that was a play mistake, playing out the S Snake to make it where my Makino can't attack. I think they didn't read the card. It can't make the leader not attack, right? And plus my leader's Luffy. It just couldn't happen anyway. Maybe they thought it would come into play. So we're going to play out okay, sorry, guys. So much just happened here. What we did, I lost a life somehow. Let's see how we did that. Let's go back. Okay, we got to play out the Hiyori. Okay, here we go. So play. Here we go. So I play out the Hiyori. Makino would have been decent as well, but that's okay. We'll play out the Hiyori. We get that card. We cheat out the Luffy, KOing the Nami, because remember, guys, minus $5 cost from the Kuzan. Attach 2 to my leader. We're going to put 2 cards on top of my life. We'll do Sabo and then Ace. We'll use the mini Ace right here, the miniature Ace, to play out the 5 cost 7k from life. We're swinging it for 7. And then I choose not to attack here. I think I choose not to attack because I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do a draw card effect here. Top 5 search. We'll get a little 1k counter. It's fine. Your turn. I'm just going to make him try to win this turn if he wants to. Because there's no way he's going to stop my board, right? He has to get rid of stuff. He has to gain life. He does gain a life, and it's Please Save Me. That's a pretty good card. But the real problem is, what is he going to do with that Please Save Me? Like, how is he going to be able to make it work? And I think the answer is, I don't think he can. I don't think he can make it work. Okay, so right here, I think it's time to just bash in. Yep, attach 2 to my leader. Oh, this turn's interesting right here. So we're going to swing for 9 into 5. He'll probably get back a Chaka, so that way he has a blocker. But I don't think it's going to matter. I'm trying to determine what I want to do here, because I could just play out that 5 cost Luffy if I want to, but I don't think so. That's probably not the right play. So we just swing in, get it out of the way the good old-fashioned way, and then it's going to be, so pay 9 to replace the Ace that cannot attack because of the S Snake, and then I'm going to play out the, okay, so much is happening so quickly. So this is why it's important to know how things work in this game. So notice this, my only Ace that I have is the one on the board. Well, if I replace the Ace on the board that can't attack this turn because of the S-Snake effect, I can replace it with Gecko Moria, which will put it in the trash. Now I can pull back 2 cards from my trash for the rest of Gecko Moria's effect, one being an Ace and the other being a Sabo. I can use the Sabo to get the card from my life to get a blocker and draw 2 trash 2, and then I can use the Ace once I put that card into my life for my leader's effect. So that's kind of what happened there. I kind of comboed him. So this is when I swung for 10. He blocks with the Shaka. I would have taken it personally, I think. But I don't know. I don't think it matters either way. Okay, so right here. So notice what I do. I replace the Ace with the Gecko Moria, and then I get back a Sabo to replace the Makino and an Ace to replace the Garp. Now I can use the Sabo to get the last card from my life, which was a Sabo, to draw 2 trash 2. And now watch this, guys. Now I'll refill my life with, well, I got to trash 1 more, and then I will refill the life with a random card at the bottom and then the Ace, and now I can swing with my Ace, even though he shut it down, and my leader's up to 9,000 power. We're going to swing for 11, and that should be GG. Whoops, let me pause right here. Even if he had somehow countered out of that, I don't know if he could have with the cards he had in his hand, but even if he could have countered out of that, it didn't matter because now his hand's gone. I have a life, I have a blocker, and I have 2, 4, 6, 7k in hand, and my leader's 9,000 power. Remember, guys, Vega can't attack with the leader. Okay, good game. That was a fun one. Guys, Black Yellow Luffy is still an absolute beast, guys. This is the list I was running right here. I will link it in the comment section below. This is what I've been running for a while. I just think it's a nice, sturdy deck. I think it's a solid deck. The 2 cards that are totally up in the air, do whatever you want with them. I guess technically 6 cards, and it depends on how you build it. Like Kuzan, Ace, and the 2 cost and 5 cost Ace. These are the 6 cards you should just do whatever you want with. Then if you want to, you can go down a Makino or 2 or a 3 Brothers Bond or 2, and you can put in 2 to 4 other more cycle cards or tech cards, however you want to build it. But honestly, yeah, there it is, guys. This list right here, I think is completely fine. It's completely solid. And if there's a matchup you're struggling with, I would use these slots right here, the Kuzan, the Ace, and the Ace. And then, like I said, maybe 1 or 2 Makinos or one or two Three Brothers Bond. And you could do whatever you want with those 10 spots, right? So in other words, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. If you have to, you can take out 2 Kuzans, 2 Ace, 2 of the little Ace, 2 Makinos, and 2 Three Brothers Bond. And you have 10 spots open to do whatever you want with them. And some people do go down to Luffy instead. If you want to keep, like, maybe, you know, if you don't want to get rid of your Makinos, maybe go down 1 Makino and 1 Luffy. Then you have 2 spots open. Go down 2 Brothers Bonds, or go down 1 Brothers Bond and a Makino. You see what I'm saying? You can move it around however you need to. And that's how Black Yellow Luffy works, guys. The engine is set. This is how it runs. And it feels strong. I queued up 3 games. Those are the 3 games we got, guys. It's just one of those. It's one of those decks that just performs every single time. It's so consistent. And even the game that I showed you guys, the second game where it was like really rough for me and I was not getting anything going my way, it just didn't matter in the end. Because eventually, when I do finally get to this guy right here, I'm going to draw through my deck and I'm going to get to wherever I can fix everything from that point on. Because, guys, think about it. You're not just drawing 1 Sabo in this deck. Once you draw a Sabo, you're drawing multiple Sabos because you're bringing them back with Gecko Morias or your little 2-cost Sabos. So it's very strong. So, all right. Well, that's it for today, guys. I just wanted to revisit this leader. It's been a long time since I messed with him. This leader still feels really good, guys. I didn't leave this leader because I thought it was, like, not good anymore. I didn't leave this leader for any particular reason. I was just done. I thought, like, okay, well, actually, the only main reason was, okay, this is a top-tier leader. Well, I would rather put my strengths elsewhere and try to make a deck perform better that's not doing very well, that I think should be. And that's just kind of how I am as a deck builder. That's how I am as a player. And obviously, that's how I am as a content creator, right? That's kind of just the way that I work. But yeah, hopefully that helped. If you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please do not hesitate to put them down in the comment section below. Okay, guys? Now, real quick, let me give a shout out to everybody who supports the channel, guys. Hey, if you are liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, viewing my stuff, whatever you're doing, talking about me at locals, whatever, please, keep it up. I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank y'all so much for helping the channel out, making it grow, and helping it spread. Other than that, thank you to everybody who supports the channel. Everybody who bought a playmat over here, guys, the VV Pirates playmat supporters. Thank you guys so much for helping me out in that way. That meant a lot to me. That was awesome. It's so incredible seeing seeing the playmat randomly all over the internet. You know what I mean? People show me on Discord. You see it randomly, with just even people at my locals and whatnot. It's just awesome to see. And then last but not least, okay, we got the patrons here. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Each and every one of y'all for just donating, literally just to help the channel stay afloat and to keep me going, guys, to keep the dream alive. All right, I'm done. Hope y'all enjoyed. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.